What is nonverbal communication? Well, between people, it's communicating through sending and receiving wordless clues. Nonverbal communication consists of visual cues such as body language, space between each other, touch, eye contact. Nonverbal communication involves the conscious and unconscious process of encoding and decoding. Encoding is the act of generating information such as facial expressions, gestures, and postures. Decoding is the interpretation of information from received sensations given by the encoder. Now, a good example of this would be if a tourist in China was trying to communicate with a local vendor and orders two of something by pointing with one hand and holding two fingers up with the other hand while maintaining eye contact. These gestures were used as a nonverbal means to communicate with the Chinese vendor. A first impression is a lasting nonverbal communicator. A few examples of these are as follows. Presentation, such as visible attributes that negative and positive impressions can be based on. Posture, such as body positioning like slouching, legs spread, or arms crossed. Posture communicates a variety of messages, whether they are good or bad. For example, a person who displays a forward lean or decreases a backward lean tends to signify positive sentiment during communication. Clothing, an individual's clothing style can demonstrate their culture, mood, level of confidence, interest, age, authority, and values and beliefs. Clothing is actually one of the most common forms of nonverbal communication, says Tiana Todorovic in her scientific review titled Clothes and Costumes as Form of Nonverbal Communication. Lastly, gestures. Gestures may be made with hands, arms, or body, and also include movement of the head, face, eyes, such as winking or rolling of the eyes. With all the various muscles that precisely control the mouth, lips, eyes, nose, forehead, and jaw, human faces are estimated to be capable of more than 20 different expressions, according to Dr. David Minton in his article, Facial Expressions, the Universal Language. Because of these facts, many emotions like happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, shame, anguish, and interest are universally recognized.
Let's talk about verbal communication. Verbal communication is the act of sharing information with speech. Whether it be adding urgency to our message, offering sincere help to someone, or even just trying to light up someone's day, we need to know how to verbally communicate effectively. Here are some tips on how to verbally communicate effectively and how to minimize understandings. Number 1, be friendly. People are drawn to friendly people because they make us feel good and bring more enjoyment in our lives. Number 2, think before you speak. It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubts. Thinking is better from reacting. Number 3, be clear. It can be exhausting for the receiver when a big effort is required to put meaning into what the other person is saying. We should always ask ourselves, what is the clearest way I can communicate this point? Number 4, don't talk too much. Know someone who talks too much and dominates the conversation. Number 5, be your authentic self. More importantly than putting on a show to make our point, we should be real, genuine, and speak from the heart. Number 6, practice humility but be confident. Confidence is a self-assurance from an appreciation of one's true abilities, whereas humility is having a modest opinion of one's own importance. Number 7, focus on body language. Body language plays a significant role in the message you communicate. Not only does it put meaning to your words, but it communicates respect and interest. Number 8, be concise. Ask yourself, how can I say what needs to be said using the fewest words possible? Last but not least, number 9, learn the art of listening. More important than talking is listening. We must show sincere interest, ask questions, listen for the message within a message, and avoid interrupting.
There are many different kinds of nonverbal communication. Strategies for effectively using nonverbal communication at the workplace would include first, good posture. Your supervisor and coworkers are paying attention to your posture. Having good posture will improve relationships and will show you have interest with your work. Pay attention to your coworkers' reactions, such as facial expressions, eye contact, and gestures. This will give you an idea of how to communicate appropriately. Smiling sends a positive message and shows that you are happy to be at work. Others at work will be more open-minded to have a conversation with a friendly communicator. Strategies for verbal communication would include tone of voice, which will help further the conversation with the supervisor or coworker and keep a good working atmosphere. Asking open-ended questions will keep the conversation flowing and increase interest at work. Listen to details. Listening to details will show that you have interest in the conversation and can show that you have good work ethic and improve your position as a worker.